Before I start real quick, I just want to ramble. I've had a weird couple of days, right? Is it a midlife crisis? Probably not. I guess it's more like a content crisis. I've been trying to do different things and just throw myself in different directions just to find a bit of enjoyment, a bit of happiness from making content. It's a struggle. It's definitely weird, and I'm not entirely sure on what I'm doing. Look, I'm honored. I'm more than grateful to have an opportunity to make content because of all of you that enjoy my videos that I make. And I understand that they don't look the best or sound the best or this or that, or, you know, like I have like a style, but I don't. I do things on purpose with intention, but at the same time, I like things to be bare basic minimal. I feel like I'm tired or sick of trying to do things really articulate or writing scripts or this or that. And it's honestly burnt me out in a way. I feel kind of weird towards content, and it has nothing to do with yous, of course. I appreciate all of yous. It's just, I guess, myself. Maybe I'm not happy with the content I make. Like, I look at my own videos and I think, what do people enjoy about this? Like, why do people watch it? Is it my opinions? Is it my thoughts? It's definitely not my personality because I barely have any of that, but maybe I need more. Maybe I need to speak more freely. I feel like I'm always kind of trying to tiptoe around what I say in the sense of sounding professional. That's kind of always been weird to me. I don't know. Being completely honest here, I don't really know. So if you notice the videos from here on out, the way I talk about things, even the frequency being faster, shorter, etc., it's probably because I'm going back to basics even more. I've changed a bit of the identity, the scenery. I have this ugly little fella now who I absolutely adore. I drew him up randomly and I'm like, you know what? I want to keep that. It's kind of cute and ugly. I love it. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate you all. Thank you for all of the amazing support over the years and on recent stuff as well. I'm kind of just trying to find my path and I am working on side projects that are going to be different, separate channels, etc. They've been in the work for some time, kind of slowly cooking, very, very slowly, but I feel like it's almost there to release. It's not going to be like revolutionary stuff, just more content, but away from anime and manga on a separate channel. You'll see what I mean when I release it. Again, thank you, love you, I appreciate you, you're the best. You make doing all this silly little content very worth it, that's for sure. I had a thought recently in regards to the ending of Chainsaw Man Part 2, and it wasn't a good one. It was not a happy thought. I was thinking about where Denji's story concludes. How does it come to an end? The more I thought about it, the more heartbreaking and depressing it became, and I didn't really like that. I'm not really sure why. I feel like it fits well narratively, symbolically, atmospherically, thematically, whatever big word you want to give it, to Chainsaw Man's story. But the more I thought about like a sad, depressing ending, the more I wished that it kind of didn't happen. The more I wish that maybe Fujimoto can do something that's a little bit more bittersweet, a little bit more kind of within the middle, have its pinch of sadness, its pinch of depression, but also kind of uplifting, page turning, full stoppy. I don't really know. I have full faith in Fujimoto to write a compelling ending. I truly do. Even though I wasn't really the craziest fan of Fire Punch's ending, I still have full faith. The biggest thing from my thoughts, the most depressing, is the death of Denji. And realistically, the multitude of different ways that you can actually get there. You have Asa Mitaka, you have Pochita himself, you have Nostradamus' prophecy, you have death, you have Yoshida. There's so many people currently that want Denji dead. And it sounds kind of unbelievable, I would say, because of like what Denji is, what Pochita is, the power that he represents. Like, there's no real way to kill Pochita. He's borderline immortal. But there is definitely a way to get rid of Denji as a person. You send Pochita back to hell, Denji disappears, that's the end of the story. I think about all these hurdles that Denji has to face, and I'm worried. I'm scared for his outcome because at this current point in time where we are, it's really not looking all too good. Like, if I were to give it some sort of percentage out of 100 on Denji living, it's like maybe 30%, and that's on a good day. Even though death is very prominent, very easily accessible within Chainsaw Man's narrative, when it comes to Denji, I think it has to be handled with a lot of care. It's not something that can just be thrown in the air or under the rug and just moved on from it. Like, this would be a turning point. This would be the conclusion of your story. Your main character is gone, and you know, you could argue Asa Mitaka, feel that mantle. Denji carries too much of the narrative on his shoulders. Thematically, he is the embodiment of this story in and out. And while Asa is a beautiful representation of being an opposite for him and kind of helps balance out the the progression of the narrative, which I absolutely adore, there's just no way logically that you would want to continue the story of like Chainsaw Man Part 3, for example, without Denji even being alive, without him being in the story, without him being active. When I was thinking about these things, I was like, okay, there's so many ways for Denji to die, but how many ways are there for him to be saved? Who could actually help him? Who could provide support? There is a bunch of people, a bunch of powerful people. I'm looking at Asa, I'm looking at Fami a little bit, I'm looking at even Yoshida, public safety. All of these people don't necessarily care about Denji at all, but they just care about the power that he possesses. So keeping him alive, keeping him active, keeping him safe is going to be a priority, or should be at least, for all of them. You don't want him going AWOL, you don't want him losing control. You don't want that power disappearing to anybody else. Keep him safe. And that's kind of what they're doing now. Is it enough, however? That's the question. We can talk about all of this, how he dies, how he gets saved, the bits in between, but is it enough? Currently, the moving force for Chainsaw Man Part 2's narrative, the big villain, the person that's bringing death and destruction, is death itself, the final horseman. But the issue with her, theoretically, is that we just don't really know anything about death. Of course, they're gonna be strong, but most likely, at least this is how I've been thinking about it, death could easily just be a horseman, but I like to think that it's also a primal fear. Not only is the concept of death big enough to embody both a horseman and a primal fear, but it would be the first of its kind within the story. Control, War, and Fami are powerful individuals within their own right. Fami's out here controlling primal fears. Death seems like on a completely different plane of existence, a completely different entity, and primal fears I've always seen at the top. These are kind of peak power. They're extremely chaotic and uncontrollable, but the curveball thrown in there was definitely Fami. I would really love to see a ton of variety with Nostradamus' prophecy, with the arrival of death, because I do think this might be shaping up to be a pretty big war arc, potentially even the final arc of the story. It's hard to imagine how that actually starts though. Like, yes, the prophecy is coming, yes, death is on its way, but why is it taking so long? Does it have to adhere by certain rules? Can it not just spawn into Earth at any time at once? That's why it kind of makes me think it's a primal fear, because those are kind of the only things that can't spawn into Earth without certain elements being involved. So all of this stuff happens, the big war, Nostradamus' prophecy, you name it, right? Everything's here, and Earth kind of just goes to war. The players that they have at their disposal, Asamitaka, Yoru, Fami, potentially all of the devils that she has under her control, the Chainsaw Man Church, public safety, all of these people realistically should be working together. But the difference, the outlier, is Denji. They're trying to do different things for different means. And an idea that I kept bringing up, which could very much be real, is that if you let Denji too close to death with the ability of erasing things from existence, that's a big no-no. That's a big issue. You don't want to erase death. Death is such a foundational concept to every living thing on planet Earth. It might not be for devils, because they just respawn back into hell, but even they fear a type of death. They fear Pochita for being their version of death. So it's fundamental to have death as a concept. It keeps the world ticking, keeps the world functional. People fear death so they don't do silly things, they don't go out of control, they have consequences for very silly and stupid actions. You get rid of that, I believe, the whole world crumbles. Human civilization ceases to exist, and the age of devils starts anyway. I can only assume that public safety recognize this, that they are smart enough to realize that Denji and his power are a bit of a problem. On the other side, I don't think Fami realistically cares. If she can control War, who controls Denji, she has full reign, full power, full control over what is being utilized. Denji's just in the middle, getting flipped around by two different sides, yet he's going to face the worst consequences out of all of them. Either he gets killed horrifically, gets sent back to hell, and Denji's no more, or he tries to sit out and all of his friends get killed. You see how much that kind of sucks? It's just really bad. Like, there's no good answer, there's no good way for this to kind of go down. And we're kind of forgetting one major player, one big thing that still has to happen, which I hope Fujimoto hasn't forgotten about. Power. Somewhere, somehow, some way, the reincarnation of the Blood Devil, which is power, is going to come back into the story. Whether that comes with the prophecy, the Age of Devils entering Earth, or, hear me out, worst comes to worst, Denji and Pochita get sent to hell. They find her in hell when they get sent there. How would they get sent there? Probably fighting death or whatever. Like, there's a really sad sacrificial moment moment in the back of my mind where Denji and Pogita are kind of on the brink of death. They're already in hell. Denji can't really come back from this, but he manages to pull power back out and send her to Earth to give her life once again. Yeah. We're not talking about sad hypotheticals. We're not talking about that sad theory. Definitely not. That's too much right now. But can you see the vision? Can you see what I'm trying to cook in my own mind? I don't know, it's kind of weird. However the story ends, we're going to be in it together. Whether we're getting our heart punched out or we're cheering for joy that Denji has actually survived and has a nice little girlfriend now. Wouldn't that be sweet? That's all I got. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you later.